Hello, welcome to another episode of B4 Rings, episode 5, day 3 on this Audi AT Cabriolet ADR conversion to an AEB, aka Pinky the Cab. Finished off last night, stayed over a bit after recording, and I decided to put the radiator in and plug up the pipes, radiator pipes and stuff, and also just kind of like temporarily mounted the front mount intercooler. Just to tighten up a few things. So today, here we are. So in the bag I've put the wiring loom in because I haven't fed it through yet. I was test fitting the airbox as well. I'll show that a bit later on. But the plan is today, I've put the intercooler on. Also put the plumbing underneath for the pipes for it to go on. Phones are clicking now, getting cold. And then some more pipes as well for the intercooler. So the plan of action is today is to try and test fit the front bumper and then try and tackle doing the wiring loom inside. So let's crack on. So I've just tried to temporarily test fit the bumper, and it's not fitting on because the intercooler's at the front. The intercooler I got from an Audi TT Mark II TTRS, and then I've bought some silicone hoses to kind of adapt and fit to make it fit to the car. So the reason why I've chose a TTRS intercooler, somebody I know done it with another car with a Golf or something, and they said they're good, you know, as TTRS are good for like, they've got 340 bhp. So I've tried that. So the problem is that the bumper is kind of bowing at the bottom, like it's being stretched. I think there's some lugs on the bottom of the intercooler. I'm going to try and cut those off and see if the bumper can fit a bit more better. So just as I suspected, oh, my bones are going again. If you can see there's some lugs, what they would go into the front panel or at the front of a TT RS. They're stopping the front bumper going on. So I'm going to shear those off and give it another go. So the problem we have, the bumper still, I've cut the ends off, but the problem we have is this T-piece here, where the outsides are very thick and the intercooler's touching there, and it needs to go back a bit more. So what I'm going to have to do is mark and cut the outer parts and come in, so it's just the middle part. I know it's going to probably weaken it a little bit, but it's the only way, because obviously this intercooler, it sits nice behind the wing, the bumper, but the only problem is that it's a bit too far out, and it's just not making the bumper sit. So it's a trial and everything, but I'm going to move away from that now and start tidying up and start doing the engine loom, getting that in, because time's pushing and it's 2 days before Christmas, so I need to get it done. So we're going to start taking the interior out. I'm not going to go through all the demonstrations of how to take the dashboard and everything out, because I've done that. If you check my other video where I took a interior out of a 2.8 Cabriolet, that will show you how to take an interior out. So I'm going to crack on, get the interior out, and we're going to get to the stage where I've done on the other video, where you will be able to see the heater matrix and the wiring. So we've got to the part where I done my other video. We've taken a 2.8 Cabriolet interior out and dashboard. Right, so here we are. We've got to the heater matrix area. The bolts, what I explained earlier on the bulkhead, 2 10mm from there. Then I'm going to show you how to take the bolts off at the top on the passenger side by the windscreen. Take those off. As you can see, the previous owner owned the car, the housing's broken, so the heaters, you had duct tape on there, had this on there, so I have to unfortunately I'll have to change that. I noticed it before, but at the time when putting the interior in, I didn't have the housing out of a convertible. I have got one now, I've got several. So I'm going to take the heater housing out, and then we can get to the wiring at the back of by the bulkhead. That is the engine wiring, and then we can start feeding wires through to the fuse board area and get those wired up to the ignition and to the fuse board, and then we should be getting progress. Time is against us as it's coming to 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I want to try and get this done, so I might have to get spot lamps out and try and get this done so you can see that the it's gone back in. And then obviously I've put some oil in because I went to the motor factors this morning. I've put some oil in the filter and stuff. I've just got to jack the car down, put the right amount of oil in there and turn it over a few times if we get to that, and let's hope it starts. So when taking out the heater matrix housing inside the car, all of this housing will have to get removed. So that includes the airbag, ECU, and this plate here. It just makes it easier, and this housing here has to come off because it's screwed on. So these have to come off as well, and your ducts what go to the back and to the rear of the car. So they've all got to be taken off. To get to where the blower is, where the housing is, what holds up onto the bulkhead, we need to take off this cover, the wiper blades, and this plate here, and this rubber needs to come out, and then we can get to where the pollen filter is and where the bolts we need to take off at the back. As I mentioned earlier on, when the engine was out, I've got the bolts at the top. I've loosened them, but I haven't taken them out yet. So there's one at the top and there's one at the bottom as well, 2 10mm. You'll need a long neck hex socket to get those two out, the one up there and the one down the bottom. So we've got to the stage now where we've taken the covers off and the wipers. They're all disconnected and moved out of the way. Always screw your nuts back in there. Sounds weird. Sounds weird, but always put your nuts back into like things like this, where your wipers and stuff. And then we're going on to the pollen filter. Now I changed this when I got the car on the road, which was a long time ago. But like I said, I never really used the car because of how the car drove, the power. It was like, it was smooth to drive, but the engine was just really crap. As we already found out in the earlier videos of this build. Anyway, pollen filter, I think I'll use that again. It's got some dirt marks on there, that's because of my dirty hands, so I'll use that again. Right, so you get to the casing where the blower is. So here's the blower on the other side. You've got a 10mm here, and then you've got another 10mm in this gap here, so you need a long neck 10mm to get down there. This should then come off then. This should come off, and then this part of the heater matrix housing will be loose, because this bolt here, it's a long neck one, but it holds the screw up, and this one does as well. Just be careful you don't drop it in the blower. Put all screws in the box. I've been putting them in the box as I've been doing this. And then we'll move on to the 2 10mm, what I told you earlier on, and then we should be ready to be taking this out. It becomes like a puzzle, doesn't it? So I've taken that cover off. Now you've got the 2, I think they're 8mm to be fair. They are 8mm, 2 8mm. You're gonna need a long neck 8mm to take them off, and then that will drop down. And there you are. That is loose on that side. So now, as you can see, we're almost out. I can lift it. I'm really close. The only thing what's holding on, you can actually see the back pipes moving there. The only thing what's holding it now is them 2 10mm, which I'm about to whip off right now. So once you've taken the 10mm out of the bulkhead, just wiggle the heater matrix housing out. Just be careful of wires which go over, like your plugs for the back of your heater controls and stuff, and your radio, and the air connector. These are CD changer wires, these are, right, from OEM, from the car. And then obviously someone's wired it in. Mr. Bodgeman, should we call him, has bodged up the wires. Careful of your ECU, because your ECU is connected on the back of the housing. This one slides off. Normally they're screwed on. V6 is other models. This one was just clipped on. So now we can see the wires and where they go. But before I start pushing wires through the bulkhead, which is that big plug there, I think it's 1 and 2. It's one at the bottom, top or bottom, we'll see shortly. We've got a brown earth what connects to the A post here. That's one of your earths. That's got to be disconnected, and then there's another one over by the steering. If I can remember when I've done it on the silver coupe, you've got to put an earth on there. So if we walk round, so here's the heater matrix housing. As you can see, there's the motor what was hanging, and there's all your controls. It comes off in one, and then obviously these are the 2. This is the part what goes through the bulkhead and screws in from the engine side of 2 10mm. Now I can't remember, I don't think I took this out and changed it, the heater matrix, so I never took the heater matrix out of this. I never swapped it over, but we're going to unscrew it now quickly, and then we can see what it looks like. So as I'm doing this 1.8 turbo conversion, I might as well change the heater matrix and the housing, which I've got anyway. So that's one job out of the way as well, so I won't have to do that for a while. Because if you don't change your heater matrix, what's happened, it's happened to me before in a V6 coupe. I was driving, the heater matrix is like a radiator, you'll see shortly. It was that rotten, it went through, and the hot water, what was coming from the engine, because the hot car was at high temperature, came through and started blowing out into the cabin of the car. The windscreen inside got covered, it was all orange. Lucky I weren't driving that fast. And then it was hot heat coming from the footwell, could have scalded my feet as well. So, and you got to avoid head gasket problems as well, because obviously if it's not running right, it's leaking, your car starts getting hot and everything. I always recommend to change them. Now you've seen how I've taken out the dashboard, it shouldn't be that hard for you to give it a go. Or if you know, be adventurous and try, you know, and then it saves you good £300-400 garage bills of doing it. The matrix is only like £30, so you might as well give it a go. Anyway, let's take this off and see what it looks like before we carry on. When doing the matrix, there's 2 screws, one there and there's one there, and then remember, before you pull, there's 2 clips there. Pull those, and then I'm going to pull this out. Now this matrix isn't bad at all. It's normally the rotten at the bottom around here, I mean horribly rotten, but this hasn't got an inkling of anything on there. So it was probably done. Mr. Bodgeman probably was doing the heater matrix before, and then obviously he's had problems with wires breaking or whatever's happening, cows isn't breaking, and then, you know, you get so far and you probably want to give up. But this is a really clean, but I'm still going to change it. It's a Valeo one, I believe it's a Valeo. No, it's a Nissan's one. Nissan's is good as well, from Denmark. It's a Nissan's. Normally it can be Valeo as well, the original ones are. But I'm still going to change it because you don't want to risk it while I'm here. It's not like changing discs and pads on your car. You don't really want to take out a dashboard again, so I might as well put a new one in while it's here. Right, so I'll go and get the other housing and get the new matrix in and put that aside and crack on with putting this loom in. Here we go. So here's one I made earlier. So that's the one I've taken out, Pinky. This is the one I've got, the new one. As you can see, this one's a genuine Audi one, this one is, because it's got the Audi logo on there. Same again, 2 screws, take those off. Got a clip here, clip there, and then slowly, if it wants to, a bit of a bugger, pull that out. And this one's also clean as well, but I don't want to chance it. It's not worth chancing it and your engine going or anything going down. Have a good check inside, make sure that you give it a tap outside. We'll get the vacuum and vacuum all that crap out there, because it just sits in there and you don't want that in there. So what we've got to do, we've take that one off, and then I've bought a new one. Well, I've had it put down for ages, so here's my new one. And then there's some foam that you put around the edges and stuff. So this one's a Mal version, if that's pronounced correctly, a Mal or Mahal or whatever it is. So I'm going to fit this back in and make this sit. We've even got a replacement blower as well, and a resistor. So I'm going to put that in, sorry for the compressor again, put that in and get that ready, and then jump on putting the loom into the car. I've just put the heater matrix radiator back into the housing. We're in the car now. So this is the ECU loom for ADI. You can tell they're a bit different. The V6 ABCs and AAHs and 2.3s, they're a bit more rolled and square like, and the later AAHs are like a goldy kind of plated one. The ABCs are a bit more thick and chunky. This looks like the modern ones you get on an A3 SL, ATAL, sorry, S4s and whatnot, B5s. Anyway, got 2 plugs, and the loom comes all the way up, and it goes through here across to the fuse board. Now this is a bit of a different one, because on the V6s, if you know already, if you've been there, the V6s have a yellow piece of tape, so you know exactly where the engine loom is. This doesn't, so now you've got to try and follow your nose with where you're pulling out. Normally there is an earth lead, it's connected up to here. I can't remember if it's on here or it's on the other side. Most of these brown ones, these thick ones here, they're normally connected for headlights and fog lights and stuff. The reason why I know that is because I had an issue with one of my own cars with headlights, so they're to do with lights and everything and earths. But yeah, we're going to take all this out and pull the loom out of the engine bay and then trail it all the way through. But as I'm pulling out, I'm putting a new loom in as well. So the loom's all put into position. As you can see, I've just got to cable tie them up. At the back there, some of these cables here for reverse switches and all sorts, and speedo sensors, they need putting on the bulkhead a bit better than that. I'm just test fitting at the moment. And then you've got your cables for your throttle and everything else. And then in the car, I've pushed the loom through and started. So there's your new plugs for your ECU, and then the loom I'm starting to push. It's black on this side as well. Sad really, I should have asked to have it red as well, but it's black. So I've just got to feed it through onto that side. The old loom is here. This is the old loom, so I've just pulled it through the bulkhead, and that's it. Now the situation, what I was saying about the reservoir sensors and stuff, unfortunately on this loom it doesn't have those sensors, and I don't think you really need them. It's only to tell you when your brake fluid needs topping up and stuff, but really and truly that's something you should check yourself anyway manually. So I'm going to delete that. And another thing that you won't have, because A4s don't have them, is the sensor for the power steering fluid, because obviously A4s don't have them, and the earlier Audi 80s different models don't have that. So obviously this one does, but it's connected to the old engine loom. And to pick that out, if you're a fussy person, you want that, then you know, fair dues, do that, but it is time consuming. Me, I'm not really fussed about a power steering fluid sensor, because obviously you can see from the level there, from when it's not on that line there, you know you need to top up. So other than that, I'm going to feed it through to the fuse board. And as I was showing the loom before, I said I had a loom that I was modifying and checking up with the original ADR loom when I was doing the comparisons the other day. I'm going to use that loom to remind me what I've got to unplug underneath the fuse board, so it helps me out much quicker to untag the loom. Hello ladies and gents, so it's coming to the end of the evening. It's after 8 o'clock. I've been here 9 hours straight messing around with pipes and stuff. So the third day in, started this on Saturday. All day Saturday, took the engine out, put the new engine in Saturday. Then yesterday was just tidying up stuff and putting things back together, subframes and stuff. Today, day 3, is the wiring loom. So I've just sort of placed the wiring loom, it's in masking tape at the moment, the new wiring loom into position where it needs to be. So I've connected the fuel pump to the black plug there, and also connected the ignition live, constant live and starter to the plugs. And really and truly, that is it to start it. When people say it only takes about 3 or 4 wires to start it, it is literally 3 or 4 wires to start it. The rest of the wires are like K lines, and for you, your ODB and your backlight, and the rest is for like your lights and stuff at the back of the car. So they can get plugged up and wired up as well into the loom and everything. That won't be so hard to do, that's easy to do. But I'm going to leave it there. Tomorrow I'm going to come in and finish it off, because I need it done before Christmas Eve, and we'll give it a try tomorrow to see if it will start. Thank you for watching again. Stay tuned for more. The next part 6 I believe. Keep on liking and subscribing. Thank you for watching. If it wasn't for this book here of instructions how to wire it up, I'd be in problems. But see you on the next episode. Take care.